The following Conscious Consumer Network recording of a live broadcast is available to purchase in high definition at ethymarket.com. Support free and independent media by becoming a CCN Pledger. For €10 a month, you can have unlimited access to CCN high definition downloads at ethymarket.com. Ethymarket, the ethical marketplace for conscious consumers.
At this pivotal time of humanity's evolution, we are beginning to remember our organic technology. A technology, when used correctly, can create an experience that the majority of the people the world over want to live. It is time to use this technology consciously for our own benefit and healing, and no longer unconsciously for our own demise. We are multi-dimensional creators, creating both our own personal experience and our collective experience moment to moment. We invite you to join us as we reawaken this technology through experiment and experience our power to create and manifest.
Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Collective Imagination Show. This is of course Michael Monk. This week Lisa will be unavailable. She had a family emergency, but we are joined by a guest, a student of Avatar Energy Mastery Institute, Alexander. We'll be sharing his story. He's been through a lot. I'm actually very excited to have him on here. On past shows, we referenced, the last major upgrade that we went through in energy as a collective over the last summer, what I've labeled as the boom period, due to the intensity of it, and that I was using that word quite frequently. But he was one of the ones that got actually activated during that time period. Like basically went from standard human consciousness into full-on what I call Christ consciousness, which is basically being as one with your external environment, being inside, outside of your body at the same time, and having a multi-dimensional connection to this reality and many others. It's a lot to go through all at once. He wasn't the only one, for sure. I mean, people that were already tuned to energy certainly felt it. But many people went from a sleeping state to a full-on waking state, which was pretty incredible. A lot to deal with. That energy level was a lot for me to handle, and I sort of lost it for a bit, even at the level of grounding and work and inner work and everything that I'd done to be who and what I am. It's still, it can be very intense when we go through these upgrades. So I'm excited to have him on today. We're going to do our usual thing towards the end. We'll do our meditation and we'll do a reality creation to help make this world a better place. And as always with the group energy, you guys can feel free to use it for any healing or any personal reality manifestation that you may have. So the first start of the show, we're going to go ahead and introduce Alexander. And I already know him. I was actually hoping Lisa was going to be on because then she could, interview him from a standpoint of not knowing him. So I'm basically going to pretend that I don't know his story and interview him from that standpoint, so it'll make better sense to you guys. So I hope everybody had a great week. The last meditation we did was very profound, and as I explained on the last show, there is an upgrade going on currently. When the last one ended towards the fall, I knew that another one was coming, and I'm just glad that it has. And like I said on the last show, whereas the last upgrade was all about getting our consciousness into crystalline density, getting our centralized power point, this one seems to be all about connecting that to all the finer centers, all the lighter spectrums. So it just feels amazing, and it's continued into this week. And during the meditation, I'm going to transfer that to you guys for as much of you are open and ready to receive it. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Alexander. Alexander, welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Thanks. Yeah, definitely glad that you're here. So explain before we go into your story, like what state of consciousness were you in before last summer, before it all happened? Like what was your current knowledge of energy, spirituality? Were you even into spirituality or anything?
I would say yes, but at a very kind of a low level. People use the term empath, and I have definitely been that. Felt, just vibes from people, and I could feel their emotions and get like an instant read on a lot of people. But other than that, it was just like a complete smack out of nowhere from the universe.
Mm-hmm. So you'd done some research, so you had knowledge, and you're a natural empath. I mean, so you've always been sensitive and into feeling, but your electromagnetic body hadn't yet activated, like none of that, right?
No, absolutely none of that.
So that's intense and full on. There's a chat room on here, so I'll be reading from that. I know that you don't have the chat room open, but Mark Hosa from the chat says welcome and thank you for coming. He's a regular that comes on all the time. So, yeah. So describe, what was it like when it first hit you? Where were you at? What were you doing? And what did it feel like? And how did you handle it?
I think first at work, the kind of empathic vibes started getting, they would increase with every week until I got to a point where I couldn't function at work. I was a bouncer of all things. And it was like others' emotions were kind of polluting my energy field, and I would get ridiculously run down and confused. And from there, I kind of withdrew. I had to leave work, and I did a little bit of meditating. And one day, I was meditating, and I saw a big black eye in my mind, and it just popped open, and I opened my eyes really fast, like, what the heck was that? And then pretty much the next day, I just started getting bombarded with like spontaneous knowings and feelings, and things that just were definitely not natural for me. I did not handle it very well, to say the least.
I mean, I was there, it happened to me too, and full on. And since I discovered energy, I'm not a natural empath. I developed the skill through practice. But when it happened to me, I was able to feel anything as a part of myself by merging with it. And I could at all times feel the connection to various degrees. But when the boom happened, I felt people within my own self, like pretty much as I felt my own self. And so if they're currently thinking crappy thoughts, or if they feel a negative way about me, but they're not necessarily, like maybe on the open, like in the communications, they're acting like they love me or something, but if they really don't like me, then they felt like a disease inside of my body. Or if they didn't like themselves, or if there's something negative about them that's hidden, they would just feel awful, and it felt at times like my connection to the collective became so smooth and so strong that it felt like I had to fight for my life. Like the whole thing is just trying to collapse in, because the way people think and feel about you on the inside, and, if they don't agree with what you're currently thinking and feeling, like, as I've said many times, the veil is there for a reason, and it, you can do your own work, and that's important to opening up, but there's also timing, to it, like the greater part of ourself protects us from having the full connection before we're ready. But you and I seem to be like test dummies for an ultra level of experience. So
yeah, for sure.
Go on and tell us more. So you started feeling people, and then you retreated and did a meditation, and your inner vision started opening up. And you are very visual. Was that when that started?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I just got blasted wide open. Like you felt a connection to people that had kind of negative thoughts or emotions about maybe some of the things you would say, I think you would have felt that more physically, where I felt it more like on a mental sense, because you and I are different like that. And as far as overlapping and feeling others as a part of myself, I would actually do experiments on Facebook, and I would connect to someone. I would pick someone, and I would connect to them purposefully after the initial kind of mass consciousness experience of feeling yourself as everything and everyone. I would pick someone and I would connect to them, and I would send them a thought of me and see if I could get them to message me on Facebook. And usually it would happen within the hour. And from there, I just started kind of researching similar things and kind of psychic experiences, and I would just try stuff out, and it would work instantly. Like the power of the connection was just instant. No matter what I did, I would sense and feel the presence of entities and people that were deceased all the time, pretty much everywhere. I did a healing on my neighbor's dog after learning nothing. I just kind of had a sense. I knew something was wrong. I asked. They said, yeah, he had an ear infection and an eye infection, and I offered to help. Pretty weird conversation. And I ended up doing that.
So you tapped into your neighbor's dog, and without knowing the dog's present medical condition, you found out that he had this wrong with him.
Yeah.
So you asked the neighbor, and the neighbor's like, how did you know that? Right?
Yeah. I just kind of responded like, well, I'm psychic. That was probably the most acceptable way, I guess, for me to word it.
And did you attempt to heal the dog? And if so,
oh, I did.
Okay, good.
I absolutely did.
Now, when Alexander said that him and I are different in that way, he is what I call light-based, and I'm what I call grounded. So as consciousness, we all span everything. So I'm in the light and I'm in the density. Alexander's in the light and in the density, but my consciousness specializes in holding a high level of compressed energy. And within compression, as I've explained in other shows, there's mainly feelings, sensations, and emotions. There's not a lot of the types of wisdom that are associated with sight and sound. So Alexander specializes in being focused in the light. So he gets mass visual information and audible information from energy. So I like if him and I are in tune and I'm feeling a large burst of energy, to me, it'll just be like a swell and a pop in the heart chakra and a certain emotion. And I'll feel it like, more intensely than he would feel it. But when it goes through him, that's going to represent a whole world, a whole dimension with a whole message and, multidimensional. So your vision is still really like you can see whenever you want, right?
Yeah. It's a lot easier in the group meditations we do on Avatar Energy Mastery Institute. But by myself, I usually ask a question, or I can say, "Show me what I need to see," and it's pretty much the same.
Cool. Yeah. Well, if any of the callers, we wouldn't be able to do too many of these, but feel free to call in if you would like to see what Alexander sees on your behalf. But like I said, we can't do too many of those. But if one or two of you wants to do that, are you open to that?
Sure, I can give it a shot.
Okay. Yeah, I know you'll be good at it. He can basically leave his body at will, which is another benefit to being light-based. Is we're not like I'm able to do what I'm able to do because I'm extremely focused within this form, whereas Alexander's more detached from this form, so it makes it easier for him to be in other dimensions, other places. So he can basically, if he wants to leave his body, he just goes zoop, and that's it. He's out. Whereas with me, I've got to go into meditation and calm this one, because the amount of energy that I hold is like insane. So it's like a lot harder for me to shift from one state to the other, though I do shift and I do it every night, I've got to like put this body to rest, whereas Alexander can just go. So that, there's benefits to both. Neither one is superior to the other. We work in tandem. As the world begins to open up and understand that these abilities are within everybody, we're all going to find our specialty, and we're going to work together. In the future, I see we're going to have grounders, which are manifestors and sources of energy. So there'll be some of us who are dedicated to holding and transmitting large amounts of source energy to the rest of the collective. That would pretty much be a job that I would do, and others like me. Others would be manifestors, so they would hold source energy to create events or structures, anything that we need. There would be the telepaths, those that specialize in seeing the future, the current path that we're on to help guide us in the right direction. There'd be weathermen, people who are really good at altering the weather. So the new weatherman isn't going to be a predictor of weather. It's going to be a group of people around the world that work in tandem and create the weather. There's going to be healers, so on and so forth. Everybody's going to find that everybody can do everything, but everybody's going to have a specialty. That's just how it works. But yeah, let's continue on with your story. So I remember, how far into the activation were you when you found me?
It had probably been going on for a few weeks.
Okay, so you found me pretty quickly, and I was still in the thick of it, very much so. So you and I were pretty much exchanging crazy talk, but we understood each other like right away.
Yeah, a lot of the weird stuff that I would see and think or know, I would ask you about it, and you'd say, "Oh yeah, for sure."
Right.
But yeah, I think I was definitely meant to find you. I don't know if it was really me finding you or we were just meant to meet at that point, because I was really just lost in what was happening and struggling to understand, why or what was really happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you're light-based like Alexander, thoughts have form. Our thoughts aren't just innocent little things, and they don't become anything, and they don't affect people. As we demonstrate, and as everybody's coming to understand, like, it matters what you think about other people and what you send out to them. When you can see, when you're more light-based, like to a person like Alexander, if a thought gets sent to him, he sees it as a whole world and a scenario of events. So I remember the so-called elite, whatever you want to call them, tuned into you because they were aware of your awakening, and they began sending you thoughts, if I remember right, and they weren't such nice thoughts. Would you care to share a little about that?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, it was at a time when definitely before I was learning anything on Avatar. I didn't know what grounding even was. I didn't know how to protect myself from those kind of attacks, I'll call them. And it was like how they say when you're trying to contact a being or a family member or God or anything, there's always imposters, and I didn't even know that was possible at the time. So I'm meditating and I'm communicating with things and beings and entities that were definitely false and that I shouldn't have been listening to, and they definitely gave me a run for my money. They would tell me to do things, and I would assume that it was from some higher positive loving being, and so I'd do them. It's not really something I like to think about, but it was definitely a learning experience.
Yeah, I was experiencing that too. Normally, I'm immune to experiencing like when things are projected at me. I can feel it as an emotion or a sensation, but things were so strong during that time period that I was actually hearing audible, and it is very, at first it's hard to decipher what's coming from a positive source, what's coming from a negative source. And if you're brand new to this like you were, well, like, who would be talking to you besides something that's a part of God or something? So
Yeah, that's what I thought.
that's totally understandable. So yeah, that was intense. So how did you, like, you don't have to share all of it, but tell me about, tell the listeners a little bit about how it affected your life, and then how you ended up grounding in and pulling out of it.
It completely tore my life apart in every sense. Like I said, I didn't know how to protect myself. I couldn't really function normally. I didn't know how to turn it off. It was just like I was wide open energetically, mentally, everything. Ended up, like I said, lost my job, lost a lot of friends, lost my wife, ended up in a mental hospital for about a week. But luckily, right before that, I got a call from you, and you did something that I don't really remember the term for, but it was like pulling any influence into the heart and crystallizing it super dense, with kind of like a love energy, and then expelling it up and out through the crown. And I didn't know how to do that. If I did, I think I would have done a lot better. But luckily,
smashing rats, because
yes.
When you're wide open, you can feel an energy that's a part of you that's good, and you can feel the ones that are negative. They feel like gaseous. They feel like stomach acid or urine. They feel like something foul, and then they just sit in there and feed you crap. So what I learned to do was just to magnetize and smash in from 360 degrees and just crystallize, and it would just pop them. They can't crystallize. They don't have enough love to solidify. So as you go into that energy, they either need to haul ass and get out or get smashed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I did to help clean you out.
Yeah, thanks for that. Probably saved my life. But even after that, when I was still in the experience, they kept bothering me. It was constant. And then I learned it myself from you, and that night everything changed, because I think you gave me the recommendation: don't even try it unless you have a ton of energy, that you can put into it. And I did.
Right. Yeah, I remember, because you were trying to be a global world healer at the time, because you knew the possibilities, you knew the connection, everything. So you were inviting everything dark and ugly and messed up into yourself, so that you offered yourself as a transmutation vehicle, but you hadn't yet learned how to crystallize. And as I've explained on the show before, and already to you, I'll explain it again. Okay, this is a crystal. This is basically solidified light. Human consciousness, until it does the right amount of work, has not obtained crystallization yet. So we have a spirit form that drives this physical vessel through the nerve fiber system by generating tiny little amounts of electricity. So we are light, and that's why we're in the bodies, is we're learning how to compress our consciousness to obtain a greater amount of mass, which is what crystallization is. So when you are still entirely light based, you can be heavily altered and influenced by light, because to you it's matter, because it's all relative. But once you're able to crystallize, you can really become a world healer, a personal healer, and all sorts of things with no risk to yourself, because you could take a ray of light and shine it through this crystal for hours and hours and hours and hours, and the crystal would not change. However, the light going through the crystal would instantly change. So that's what Alexander worked on and obtained, and Right. It's like, once you discover that, nothing can bother you anymore. You can just go into
Yeah.
the love, into the pure magnetics of the heart, and then everything, just gets clean. Nothing foul can exist in you.
Yeah, and they were definitely existing in me before that. I sent out some pretty serious telepathic waves of anything dark and negatively influencing on Earth and its good people. They should get on the right side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they came.
So are you saying that you reached out with a bit of a spiritual warrior attitude?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. That's what I felt like at the time. I felt like I was just, in the worker bee mentality, going through day-to-day life, and somebody just hit the on button one day, and I was activated into what, honestly, from a light-based perspective, felt like a battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like, when you are light-based, once again, thoughts have forms, so it can be experienced as a whole. Angels versus demons, like mass battlegrounds and everything, when from this level it's merely the structure, strength, and vibration of one thought clashing with another, and one is going to win. But within that, if you're projected into that, it could be a whole war going on in a whole other world. Like, that's the different levels of compression of which things take place in.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, we've talked about this on past shows, so don't worry that it's going to be too much for people. We've discussed the nature of time and parallel realities, and I've even shared with the audience that I left another parallel to come to this one during that time. There's there's endless Earths and endless selves. Each one of us has an endless quantum array of probable selves, which are so close to this self that if you switch to one, you would barely even know it. Or you can switch a parallel, and all the people you know and love are still there. They're just a tiny, bit different. So Alexander, because I shift parallels all the time. But to me, it's not so disruptive to me, because I feel things in a more compressed level. So to me, it might just be a little flick of energy, whereas to him, he can visually see the parallel that he left, even witness his death in that parallel. But I'll leave this
Feel
for
it.
you to describe it. He basically, I think you died and came on other tons of. I mean, go ahead and you tell the story.
Yeah, absolutely. It started with that mass telepathic messaging that I was sending out, to everything dark, and they responded for sure. And it was, I would be, for example, I would be sitting downstairs, and I would feel them pull up outside of my house, and I would get a message saying, we're outside of your house, and if you come to the window, we're going to shoot you and you're going to die. Which was pretty unsettling. But in spiritual warrior mode, I immediately shot up and ran to the window and sent them messages like, okay, I'm right here, let's do it. And probably about 6 or 7 times I would actually physically see a car, and there would be a person in it. They'd usually have sunglasses on and an earpiece. And in my reality, what would happen is I would be shot and I would die, and I would see it in my mind every time. This happened multiple times a day for at least a month. And I would notice the messages from them, and I would feel their negative feeling. But I would also get another message, which felt very positive, and it would say, don't worry, take a deep breath, close your eyes. When you open them again, you're going to be somewhere else. And so I did just that. And I would see myself die in my mind, and I would feel it. That was the worst part, because every time it happened, I would feel that, and I would feel the feelings of my family and people around. But I would now be in this altered or different reality slightly, very, very, very slightly. And it was like everything was exactly the same, but I always knew every time.
Right. Yep, and that's due to the law of attraction. So what everybody needs to imagine is the quantum nature of things, that you're only in one singular time and space because you're observing yourself to be there. And the way you observe is through feeling yourself. So there's another you right here, another you right there, another you right there, there, so on and so forth to the ends of infinity, in a pattern very similar to the flower of life, which is what that represents. Now, time is interwoven in space when you move in spirit. So yourself that's slightly up here or slightly over there is in a slightly different parallel. It's a slightly different you, and that slightly different you is creating or co-creating an entirely slightly different Earth. So when you do die, now I can't say this is for everybody for sure, though this is my current belief, is that there's no such thing as death. And not in that you die and you leave your body, but you just straight don't die. That if when it happens, you through the law of attraction, whatever essence you were holding in your expired form, whatever consciousness, gets automatically pulled like a magnet to the next you in your quantum field that's most similar to the you that you were before you so-called, died. And like I said, it may work differently for people that are at a different level of evolution. I have no idea, but I've seen this myself, and I've met other people like Alexander and other people. It's during all of my experience, I can just affirm that this is how it works. So he consciously, it'll happen to a lot of people. Like during my healing work and all my time doing this, I've heard people who will say, okay, I'm driving down the street at high speed, truck pulls out in front of me, car smashes into it, but then there's like a blink, and the next thing I know, I'm on the other side of the truck, my car is fine, and I'm still driving. And I said, oh, you died. You died, and you shifted to the next closest parallel where you didn't die. And they're like, oh, see, you may or may not maintain consciousness during the process. Chances are a lot of people listening to this radio show have died to get here. In fact, chances are every single one of us has died at least 10 times. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But what's rare about Alexander is that he consciously did the shift, and I think it's on purpose. I'm sure it is, so that he could help, bring the information and everything. Now, can you explain how, like, some of the tangible evidence you had, like after you shifted, that this wasn't all in your head, that you were indeed on a different Earth?
Yeah, there was a few things. Do you mind if I just run to the washroom really quick and then answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, Mark, the link I gave you to the Zoom room didn't work. I mean, I'd love to have you come on. I don't know how to create a new link. Can I click invite, or can I? Oh, here, I can copy URL. Okay, hold on. Let's see if this works. For those of you listening live, I'm dialoguing with Mark Hosa in the chat. He's trying to come in here, join us live.
Oh, whoa. Hey, dude.
Hey.
Alexander.
How you doing?
Great.
Yeah, this is Mark Hosa from the chat.
He didn't want to interrupt, but also I'm really keen to ask you questions, and since it's kind of an invitation there to do it, doing it. You awesome story. Are you using lucid dreaming a lot too, or are you actually getting daytime experiences?
Definitely daytime.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. There was a period where I really worked on achieving lucid dreams, and I did for probably a few weeks. Limited success, but definitely success, and then it just kind of stopped.
Huh. Yeah, I've had kind of limited as well. Not really feeling like that adept at it. I've got friends who are really good at it and do a lot of stuff, and like I get stuff, but it's more for me. It feels like more of a transformation of daytime stuff, or like I take stuff into sleep and work on it, and then come back out, and it's different. That's how it feels. Have you got?
I hope to get really good at it one day.
Yeah, but I think that what you're doing seems almost like more advanced than just doing the lucid dreaming.
He's there. It's when people jump as fast as he did, he thinks he
Yeah.
has to
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's like
he can leave his body with full consciousness and go into another dimension, but he can't wake up inside of a dream. So he can go wherever the hell he wants to go, but he can't
it's
wake
awesome.
up inside of it. You know?
So I was thinking too when he said, I hope I get good at that. I was thinking, why? You're like, just skipped it. Never mind.
Well, everyone else is doing it, right?
Right, that's right.
Oh yeah. Before we go too much further, the question that was asked before he took the quick break was the tangible evidence that you shifted to another Earth. I believe there was one involving a music band or something that was pretty profound.
Yeah. Before any of this started happening, there was a band that I listened to a lot in high school, and they stopped being a band. I don't remember why or what. I just remember that they broke up. And after experiencing constant deaths, among other things, I would go on YouTube and search for music, and now in this current reality that I'm in, they have been making albums ever since. They never stopped, and they still do. There's albums that exist by different bands as well that I've never even heard of. The strangest thing ever.
The funny part is that you can remember that it didn't happen before. I mean, that's funny, isn't it? Do you guys see this as like we're fine tuning what time stream you prefer to be in, or what?
Say that again.
Is it that you're fine tuning which time stream you prefer to be in? Because like I'm just kind of like trying to get a handle on how to do it better.
It's very fine tuned because okay, we can move through space effortlessly because we can feel space. We can feel the frequency, the bandwidth of frequencies that we dedicate towards interpreting as physical matter, air, so on and so forth.
Right.
When you can't feel something, you can't move through it. If you sit on your leg the wrong way and it goes numb, you get up to walk, you can't. Doesn't matter how well you know how to walk. The moment you can't feel your leg is the moment you can't use it. Well, the bandwidth, the frequencies that we progress through on time is currently outside of the range of the standard human consciousness. So it's impossible for us to move through time in any other way than the preset automated pattern. When you tap into the energy of time, you begin to feel it, and the way you traverse it is moving through it spatially. So a slight tweak or a slight... yeah. And
I think I'm starting to feel that, actually. Like, dude, I think I'm starting to get a hint of it, and yeah, that's exciting.
For me, it was a little different.
Okay, what do you experience, Alexander?
For me, it felt at the time that it was being used as kind of a scare tactic. Like I would get the message, you know, go stand over here and we're gonna kill you. But some kind of higher, you know, positive voice came and said, and, you know, like, okay. So I went and I listened and I did it. And I think that's the only reason it happened, is because I was told, you know, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and you're going to be fine. And I did just that.
Yeah, you had a cancellation of one projection of form, or what's currently known as a death, and that's what, you know, and then the law of attraction, and you got pulled to the next closest parallel. During the summer, I shifted with full consciousness to end up in this version of Earth, and I remember it blatantly. For those of you who follow me on Facebook for a while, and that's funny because you've got alternate selves from alternate Earths that were also following me on Facebook, because they're all so similar. Once I discovered cold energy, which was like 2.5 years ago, I discovered cold energy during the summer during a retreat. Like, I was bursting with cold, and it felt so fabulous. Like, that was when I discovered it. And the summer that I discovered it, the Antarctic ice caps grew by like 30%. And I knew the relationship between the inner and the outer, so I was like, holy crap. Like I said, after I saw that accidental manifestation,
you're going like, whoa, you.
I made posts. I said, you know, I'm going to start freezing my God spark and see if we, you know, myself and a few other energy masters, if we can just fix the North Pole. Why not? You know, let's take care of global warming.
Everybody's going like, what's Michael got going on? They're like, it was so funny.
So I did it, and that was the winter of 2014, and all I ended up achieving was a record cold for the Atlanta area and the whole East Coast. Like, we got bombarded, and the North Pole didn't. The North Pole ice caps did not increase on the Earth that I left, and I remember that damn well because I was very interested in whether or not it worked. Well, just sometime during the summer, there was a shift. And I felt into it, like within myself, I came into greater harmony with the upper energies. That's what happened. Because during the moon period, I was like, nothing good comes from above. Everything's, you know, screw all of them. They're a bunch of assholes. And,
I remember that.
Well, the day that I came into harmony and decided to love the whole spectrum, I see a post on Facebook, and sure enough, the North Pole ice caps have all of a sudden grew by 30% in 2014, when I know for a fact that they diminished. And yet, this current Earth, if you look, you know, I just went to check to make sure that I didn't shift another parallel again before I say it. But the North Pole ice cap has grown consistently for 3 years, but not on the Earth that I left.
You gotta check real quick before you say.
Maybe I shifted again.
You're like, make a liar of me. Yeah, funny. Yeah, cool, man. Well, like I had this feeling. See, I've been focused on monetary system, right, and funding projects and getting like things moving as in almost like in a moneyless way, where money gets sidelined and becomes in its own perspective of just like, you just focus on, okay, what we want to do. And now what's happening, and also focused on the energy stuff and all this, right? So there's all these people that seem to have just faded out and no longer are like killing people and stuff like they were. And like, it's more focused on bringing a lot of things are integrated in this current past that I'm seeing, that the things that I thought were such a problem were actually set up to be a help to humanity. And now the people who were the individuals who were involved with setting those things up are now wanting to work in a different way to still help humanity and help projects get funded. So I've got this, like, I don't know if that existed before, but I sure didn't see it. And now it's like, and I think let's just shift this to whatever's the coolest, so that we can do stuff and make this life that we've got around us more cool. Like do more stuff. Anyway, I'm really interested in that. Can you see anything like that, Alexander? Like Michael made the reckless offer of saying that somebody could ask you if they wanted to call in and ask you to look at things. But Michael, what can you do, Alexander? Because I'd love to take up that offer. I'd like to use me as a tool to look into what I can see and see if you can make some sense of some things that I'm seeing. And I'm wondering if we might play that little game and see if you can see into something.
I can give him a good technique for that.
Yeah.
Give me just a minute on that, though. But basically, Alexander, what you would do is you would tap into the energy state, open up your inner vision while maintaining an ear connection to Mark. And then Mark would speak the scenario of what it is he's trying to produce or what it is he's trying to create, while you leave your visual centers unconstricted. So you basically, while he speaks, you allow the sound of his voice to vibrate your visual centers. And then whatever you see, you relay to him. But before we do that, Maggie from the chat says, do you all see timelines converging into one timeline? And yes, I do. And was given a date, but I'm not going to relay that date, because the reason I was given a date is because I knew better than to relay it. Because if there's a date of a mass event, and okay, in order to receive any type of energy upgrade or to integrate any experience properly, you cannot be afraid and you cannot be in anticipation. If there's an announced date, people are either going to feel fear, anxiety, elation, excitement, all of the energies that cut you off from being able to receive. But it was rather soon. I mean, but however, it's yes, I did. I saw all.
Sounds like a movie.
Yeah, I was in a future Earth where this was happening, and it was being, explained to me. And then after that, I had an experience of it happening to me. So basically, like I said, you've got all these quantum cells all around you, like the flower of life. All of us do, and each quantum self is a part of an entirely different quantum universe. So there's a point where our gravity hits like a critical mass, our love, and then the bubbles pop, and they all go and just rush in. And that's basically like an ascension level event. So we've got all this random stray energy, like we're broken, fragmented into all these pieces. We're like Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, and our soul has to dedicate energy towards supporting and maintaining every single one. So no single one of us has enough energy for transformation. However, when those membrane walls break and they all come into one house, we finally get all of our self back.
Wow.
Yes, I did see that. And
that's cool.
Yeah, in the future. But just the best thing to do with all of this is to work on yourself at all times, to always be transferring more and more of your consciousness into electromagnetic perception, to be building the strength and the size of your nerve fibers. Because physically speaking, those are your channels. Your motor nerves are your sending channels. Your sensory nerves are your receiving channels. It's a physical manifestation of that. So it's important that everybody does daily focus and meditation exercises to run extra amounts of energy through your circuitry, so your consciousness can learn to be comfortable with it. Because what I saw during the ascension, like what level you're going to be able to obtain, is how much you're able to hold without freaking out. So, you've got all of these parallel cells, past selves, future selves, the whole broad spectrum array of Michael Monks. So imagine the greatest sorrow that you've ever felt, the deepest level of depression you've ever felt. It's pretty intense, right? Now imagine the greatest love you've ever felt, the greatest level of happiness, greatest level of boredom. Imagine feeling all of that all at once. So that's the first level. If you're going to ramp up enough energy and hold it together, you need to be able to feel every single thing that you've ever felt in this life and the closest parallels all at the same time, and interpret it as love. Because love is an interpretation of energy. Love is not a vibrational signature. Love is consciousness experiencing a vibration or an energy and making a choice. Like, do you love it or not? You know, like, you could say, yeah, frequency 528, bring it. That's love. Somebody else could come on and go, oh, that feels like shit.
Yeah.
I hate 528. You know, that's the dark. You know,
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
That's the dark.
Ultimately, the force of love is the empty space that consciousness exists in that provides polarity and room for vibration to move. So love is the force that holds, encompasses, envelops, and harmonizes vibration. So the more you can open your mind to interpret love as being all things, the more you will be able to hold at the same time without going crazy. And that's the first level. And I hate to put numbers to it, so don't put too much stock in these numbers, but you could say that's fourth density, is if you can hold all of your current parallel cells. Once that collapse happens, though, it's going to continue, and you'll start receiving all of your so-called past and future lives, complete other lives that are a part of your soul family. So if you can hold everything that you've ever felt and be comfortable with it, that's one level. Then you'll get the opportunity to hold all of your soul family, or what's been called past and future lives. And if you can hold enough of them, then you'll ramp up to that next level where you'll be fifth density. And then, you know, I'm sure it's infinite, you know, but it's intense, guys. Like, it takes some training and practice to be able to hold all of that and harmonize it and be like, yeah, it feels good. You know, people will make it the fourth, and then they'll start getting the other lives, and they'll go, oh my god. And the moment you freak out, the guardians or God or, you know, whatever is going to cut you off and say, okay, you made it here.
Yeah. Until you develop more and be able to handle it further, huh? Mm-hmm. Like, and then when that you integrate the past and future lives, are you starting to pull in everybody else too, as a, like, in your experience of the others, not pull them in as same, but in a new way, like we're separate, but we're also one.
Yeah, it's
we feel the oneness, but we also feel that we also enjoy the separation enough to see that you're separate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, each one of us contains the whole, so it's not like I would become a mass Hoover vacuum cleaner and suck all you guys in and you wouldn't exist anymore, because I exist within each one of you too. It's like we would each get the opportunity to hold more of the all. Yeah. Okay.
So the part where some don't make sense is the funny part, like where I think I just need more advancement. Advancement in a way of more. Actually, I don't feel advancement is the real need. It's just more of a relaxing into it and enjoying the process. Like, it's just different. It's not like a progression isn't the real thing. It's like being in the now, completely integrating all of time and space. All the different fractals. It's exciting. Well, Alexander, so if you look at where we're at right now, I want to play a game of, like, if this is cool, like, I just want to say, okay, here we are right now. We're in this, like, time and space of this, whatever it is, fractal of time and space. And I see what I see as, I would like to show you I'll show you, I'll speak to you, but also I'll show you as much as possible, as much as you can receive in my projection. I'll tune into you as much as I can, and as best I can, in projecting what I see in its complexity, because the words that I can say very quickly are not really enough to convey the complexity. But I'll give you some trigger words and keywords to go with and different things. So the the kind of overall question is like, okay, I'm gonna feed you some data and then see what you see just for fun, and let's see like what you come up with. Maybe engage in a conversation about it. Perhaps I just would like to like put it into you as a picture, then you see how you react. 'Cause I don't really know what to expect, right?
Okay, I've never done this before, but it sounds exciting. So I'm gonna just close my eyes and surrender basically my visual perception, and
all right, I'm gonna do the same. I'll do the same, and I'll project as best I can in my my mind's eye is going. Okay, now I'm as me in a position where there's a whole array of new technologies that are not new technologies, that are old technologies. I see the bird, I see the eagle and the condor prophecy of the eagle people and the condor people. There's a prophecy of the eagle and the condor people. The eagle people, I don't know the prophecy from reading it as much as I do from what my experience of it is from a small conversation and small reading. But the basic image is the eagle people went the way of technology, and the condor people went the way of their inner development and community, and focusing on community and inner development of your internal technologies, your use of the body, and the type of I think I see the Dulaga, the hairy people, the hairy ones, the Bigfoot. They're called Bigfoot by some, but the Dulaga as the longest standing originals on the planet. I've had some presentation of them to me, and a relationship developed. I see their role as the condor people and the ones who are from the stars, who have been in the stars, as the hybrids and working with the various races from all over the universe, dispersed out through the universe in a focus, working with technology and the head, and the hairy ones working with the heart and tuned into the earth, the density of the earth, being able to teleport, use telekinesis, telecommunicate, telepathy is developed well with them. And then you have the different kind of telepathy developed well with the eagle people from the stars, and going into all the different races that are more focused on technologies. And they're coming together, and in the prophecy they come together, but they each learn from the other, and they each learn something from the other. That's one part of the picture. On a more 3D sort of level, I've got a picture of the monetary system. The whole Swiss Indos come into focus really strongly with the Sugiharto Notonegoro from Malaysia, or from Indonesia, from Cirebon, as saying he's the king of kings and the one who's inherited the responsibility from Sukarno, who was working with JFK when just before 2 weeks before JFK was shot in this time frame that we're in. He was taken out before they were going to release what's being talked about being released now, and what was being talked about being released just before 9/11, and that is a gold-backed structure of currencies, and also a funding of currencies around the world, and a debt jubilee, global debt jubilee, and then funding people based on whether they have something that they're going to do or not, or whether they have a common need that everybody has and they're an elder and they're not able to work, but that we move beyond the requirements of working as slaves, but rather working towards common goals and common objectives, choosing what we do with resources rather than trying to trick people into needing electricity. In power grids that we use technologies that can access, pull in electricity and other direct pulse current, DPC, and other types of energy, using that energy and then using it without having to purchase it on a continual basis, and essentially freeing humanity from the current enslavement mechanisms that have been in place in this current stream of activity, in this time stream, that we have a common desire amongst the masses to move into healing technologies and healing modalities like Michael's course and the teaching people how to heal themselves and change the frequencies and move by the law of attracting health, however that comes about. And I'm currently working with a whole string of people who have a lot of different technologies, and then also people who have assets to back those technologies. In the past, they've been being, in this time stream, in the past in this, they've been being blocked to utilize the assets that they have for the benefit of humanity. Even though they wanted to fund these projects, they haven't been able to. But now it seems that the change has been that they want to move into funding the projects and bringing out these solutions in ways that people are empowered rather than and become stronger and heal their own DNA, heal their own ability to do what they can do the energy work. And I see it as learning energy working and being able to manifest as energy workers, because we're more fully incarnate, turning that whole idea that rather than needing to get out of this, like ascend out of this and get out of this uncomfortable situation, that we integrate more fully and come more fully into the game and integrate more fully, and then actually break through into that. So I'd like to stop at that picture and just ask you, just leave that with you, see if you have any kind of a picture out of there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got a lot from that, actually.
Oh, I want to finish with this question. How can we most quickly, I want to see, what's the way for us most quickly to move into what we prefer, because this is exciting, to what we're, and have some real fun with this picture.
Basically, we do what we've been doing, like what happened last summer and like what's happening right now.
Yeah,
is that feels like the way that the world is going. Absolutely. It feels like the last kind of push. Like I was getting a lot of messages about how the ones that I've been in contact with telepathically that feel very dark. It feels like they're turning and running or changing, and it's like through the power of our expansion and influence. It's different from theirs, very different. It has a very different feeling.
I get the strong feeling, though, even with them, that they're actually just part of it and they're having fun as well. Like, I mean, they're having fun being like rebels, and like that was their job, and they had a role that they wanted to play themselves, and they might even move into a different phase where they're doing something differently, but they might still be battling and struggling, but that's fun for them.
Yeah, I think it's been really fun for them for a really long time.
Yeah.
But it's changing.
Yeah, it seems like for us here, though, we have this common interest in like having synergistic things that we do, the equivalent of blowing stuff up with cool cannons and stuff to like doing cool stuff. that's just as fun and more fun, even though it is fun to shoot a really powerful weapon and like really blow stuff up is actually fun. If you can enjoy that, it's a blast. But it doesn't. We can have just as much fun, but doing it in a constructive, creative, co-creative way. I dropped this phone call. Whoops, I answered it. Sorry, Paul. I need to go. I'll call you later. Sorry. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Because this is kind of. I mean, I want to just like. I want to hear anything that you can see. It would be really cool.
Well, at first, I started seeing a lot of separation of society, the technically advanced versus the ancient cultures that are still around who appreciate consciousness and exploring it and higher knowledge, and then there was a ton more information that you continued with, but it was basically, like you said, kind of I got a picture of society like half was with the head and half was with the heart, and I feel like I got a very strong sense and feeling and a vision of a much happier place where it's unified.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. That's what I'm seeing as well.
Yeah. During the boom period, I remember I identified clearly, like just clear as day, that I'm with the heart, meaning that there's an upward rising stream of energy, there's a downward rising stream of energy, and I labeled the upcoming downstream as enemy. Like I just hated them, couldn't stand them.
Yeah.
I labeled them as Lucifer and said that they're everything unholy and that they, yeah. I mean,
probably because they're easily influenced, apparently.
Yeah, it's the head-based consciousness that they receive information streams from above down into the head, and it's all like the further up you go, the more you get into so-called intelligence or wisdom, where everything's operated from statistics, from logic, from manipulation, from like grand scheming. That's where all that comes from, whereas the heart stream goes from below and up, and it operates in innocence, like it operates in feelings and emotions and what feels right. We don't heart-based consciousness doesn't sit there and calculate and plan your next move.
Yeah.
In the flow. And
yeah.
What we
and head-based consciousness works so hard to like calculate if there's a 70% chance that this will happen, and if that happens, then there's a 70% chance that this will happen.
Right.
And they calculate out now, and then heart-based just comes in and goes and does this, and they go, oh shit, and then it's hilarious.
Yeah, I remember that. Like I was pissing off a lot of the elite head-based consciousness because I'd make certain moves at just the right time, and they're like, how?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did
like
you
I said,
know
towards the end,
here?
I did harmonize the two, and I'm actually in the process of right now of mastering that downward stream, because I want both,
Right. And then there's the gut one. I reckon the next one though is the real more next levels that gut, the gut mind, the gut center, because you've got the three that are in this manifestation. You've got those three really strongly.
It's different densities of the same thing. So the heart,
right?
This is the higher mind of the heart-based consciousness. So it all, like when I say people that get the information from below, the earth-based, the rooted, the anchor, the grounded, it's this whole area from root to chest. But the heart is like the crown is to the throat is the same thing, like the root.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I get that. Nice smiley face for it, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's
cool shirt. That's the cool shirt for the task. We should have you we should put your camera down to your shirt level, right? And have you talk like rah, 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 on your shirt. Like he can talk.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Michael.
Yeah, I've got a series of shirts, and they all mean something, and because I'm in the flow, so I just buy the ones that felt right. And when I do my laundry, I just arrange them and hang them, and I just happen to wear one that's so damn appropriate for each day. And actually, today was a happy day. It was like,
And the happy face on your chest. That's awesome.
I've got my Tiger Day, and God forbid when I put on my Angry Bird shirt, I know something's about to go down for that day. Like, uh-oh, it's an Angry Bird Day.
Alexander, what are you focused on, like, now that you're where you're at? Like, what are you focused on?
That's a tough one, because basically for the past year I've been just trying to figure out what to do with myself, sort of, in that sense. It completely tore my life apart.
Yeah.
In every way.
Right.
And it's honestly a struggle to just live normally.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. It was beyond traumatic. There's these people that hear what happened, and their response is surprisingly a lot of the time, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That must have been just amazing.
Yeah, awesome.
It was the opposite of that.
You were going like, this isn't cool.
No, it was absolutely insane. And a lot of these people who I think, wish that it would have happened to them, or say that it's amazing.
No, you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Say, if you saw, or if you were there,
Yeah.
It's like nothing you would think.
See, what I'm thinking, like, when you tell the story, I'm thinking, cool, it sounds like the chicken Divergent. Like, again, it sounds like that, that experience of, okay, this sucks really bad, but this is not the end, and then you go tunk into it and you come out. I mean, I can see the pain and suffering, but also doing it on a regular basis would develop I would think it would be pretty awesome after a while.
Well, it can, he lost his whole perception of everything that he held dear in his current
right
of a life,
right.
Lost. In exchange, he's got these astounding abilities. Like, I've
right.
heard a lot of people being activated out of nowhere, and his, takes the cake. His abilities as he went through the Avatar lessons, like it was almost sickening how fast.
Yeah, you're going like,
and learned it all. He's like, I teach him a certain lesson, and he's already at the mastery level of, so he's got some serious abilities, and he can go far with it. But he's just got to read
hard one.
He's got to redefine, and you have pretty much, right. I mean,
I'm working.
That's for sure. I think it'll be interesting to see what you come up with.
Yeah, it's kind of been, as far as energy work and that stuff, I kind of have put it on the back burner for a while as I try and just create some kind of a normal life. And I don't know if that's the right decision, or if I should dive into it and that becomes what I do. It's tough.
Yeah, well, I think it's cool. I wish you well, and I mean, I say that in a way of this, like, saying it this way. Through a difficult time, I had one friend of mine who was a really good friend, and he was really lighthearted, and he just said, you know what, come through that, and you'll kind of forget how hard it was, but you will become more for it, and you'll be fine, and you'll work through. Because I was kind of suicidal at a point, and I was like, dude, this is horrible, can't get any worse. And he said, I've been there, and the reason it helped me was he had been there through that same situation. So he just said, yeah, it is hard, and you need to have people to talk to and get through it, but it'll pass. and then you'll move to a different phase, and I think when you're talking about it, I'm thinking, cool, you're gonna be so on game when you start like going. My feeling of it is you're gonna be so on game. You're gonna be like more you than you could ever be, not being like having this level of ability that you're gonna be able to go boom, like really interesting life. I'm excited about seeing where you end up going with that.
Well, thanks for that. Yeah, there was a number of times where I really wasn't sure if I was going to make it at all. And there's a saying that goes something like, the universe never gives you more than you can handle, and that got pushed to the absolute limit. But you're
like, time out.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right as far as it changing you. I'm not at all the same person that I was, and that's a fact.
Wow, this is an awesome group. Check out the audience, how that feels. This group is amazing. Pretty fun.
It's a good show tonight, Will.
You need to do that meditation thing too, because that's the best bit. I hang on that every week, man.
I got to go at 8:30. I've got 15 more minutes. So
15 minutes. Let's do it.
Okay.
Are you up for it? I mean, is that okay? I don't mean to cut over. I just like that's really important.
Given that we've got Alexander on, and whenever he connects with me like this, he gets profound visions.
Cool.
Pretty intense stuff happens. So what do you think would be a good theme? Like, what should we talk about? I think that it wasn't a coincidence that you talked about Condor, Eagle, Heart, Head, and that and that he shared his time stream jumping, I shared mine, and that mine had to do with unifying the two. I mean, I was at total war with what I call them, the talking heads. I called them the babbling heads, and I couldn't stand them. But the moment I made peace with them and I know they're a part of me. Which
in the macrocosm, all those different races too are actually kind of annoying. Like, they're really staticky. But then if that's all integrated, if we integrate all that in I like that one you did. Remember when you did with, is it Matthew or Matt or who was it that was good at doing the outer? Like, you have Alexander doing that and you doing the core. That worked really well. That resonance.
Well, yeah, that's Alexander's the same way. So what I propose we do is a unification between crown, and when I say crown, it's not necessarily right here. It's this whole space above the head center, and throat. We will meet head midway in middle turf. So instead of pulling the babbling heads into the heart, or instead of raising our hearts up to our head, I'm going to propose that we meet middle ground right here where the collarbone joins. So I'll pull.
Okay. All right.
We will pull root all the way up to here, and we'll pull the upper energy all the way down to here. We'll make a meeting point right here, and then I'll ask Alexander to you pretty much, it's as simple, Alexander, as taking your eye, your visual center, and dropping it to here. All the energy that we summon as a group, you need to let it vibrate your eyeballs, basically your eye channels, so that it becomes visual information. And then at the end of the meditation, you can tell us what you saw.
Let's do it. Fun.
All right.
All right, cool.
Okay. Everybody is normal posture, feet flat on the floor, shoulder width apart. Straighten that back out big time. Everybody's hunched over from their daily activities on the computer and whatnot. The most important thing to do is to have that back straight. So you need to strut. You need to stick your chest out and arch your back you need to overcorrect to get that channel open wide. Okay. Now we're going to do this a bit different, but we are going to start with the typical heart-based consciousness. So You can feel your head, you can feel your chest, so obviously consciousness is present in both places. To become heart focused, you merely take what's in your head and drop it down into your chest. Nothing more, nothing less. You can use a visual. Your chest is a warm frying pan, your head is butter and melting down into your chest. There. I can feel tons of you made it already. Once you get in there, you're going to feel the group energy because the concept of separation doesn't even begin to exist until the throat. So that's literally all you have to do to feel the energy that I'm holding and sending, that everybody else is holding and sending as a part of the unified field in the heart. Okay, now to make this connection more apparent, I'm going to begin to move to the left and to the right, and you'll feel me moving through you. Like a spiritual version, almost like how it would feel if you were to have a projection out of your body. Because we're all one in the heart. Your chest is inside of my chest is inside of yours, perfectly overlap. Now I'll rock back and forth instead. And now in circles. Okay, now I'm going to go neutral again and go back into the group energy and just apply a magnetism to hold us closer together. Okay, now I want everybody to become extremely aware of how your butt feels sitting in the chair. That weight, that pressure. Okay? That's your consciousness. That's your essence in your root currently at this moment. So to raise it up, you just need to make the rest of yourself. You've already made your head and your heart one. So you simply feel the weight of your butt pressing down against the chair and put the sum totality of your consciousness into it, as though it's the very center point of all existence. Your eyes are closed, by the way. So your butt feels a certain way sitting in the chair. It feels heavy, smashed, compressed, soft, whatever, depending on what you're sitting on. But how it feels against the chair becomes the sum totality of all existence. So put all of your awareness into it, and it'll start to become a lot more than that. You'll start to feel magnetism. You'll start to feel density, vibration. You might even become aware of the molecular structure in the chair. And I'm down there with you guys to help make it easier. So is Alexander and Mark. Okay, now what we're going to do is use the breath. Now, the breath does a lot more than just move air through the lungs. The breath is a multi-dimensional symbol our consciousness uses to move energy. And to do that, you need to do nothing more or less than maintain that connection that you've established to your lower centers. Drop your idea of what breath is down into your root. And now on the in-breath, I want you to assign your lungs a new function. Your breath now has a new function. On the in-breath, it is going to suck your root up into your heart. And on the out-breath, we're just going to release and do nothing. Okay, so everybody exhale. Hook your breath in, assign it a new function, and inhale your root up to your heart. Good. Exhale, no emphasis. Inhale, hook back into your root and raise more of it to the heart. Exhale, no emphasis. Hold the energy that you've gained in your chest, maintaining this connection because you're creating a rhythm. You're creating a cycle of energy flowing upward from the root into the heart. So every breath you do reinforces that. It's like you're creating a river of energy. So let's do it one more time for triple reinforcement. Exhale all the way. Hook into your root. Inhale energy up to the chest. No emphasis on the exhale. Hold the energy you've gathered in your chest, and you now have a continuous river, a continuous stream of energy going from your root up to your heart with nowhere to go. In other words, it's accumulating in the chest. Okay, now I want you to leave those centers on autopilot. They're already doing their thing, so disconnect your mental consciousness from the heart and below, and I want you to focus entirely on your throat and your head. Now on the inhale, we're not going to put any emphasis at all, but on the exhale, we're going to assign a new function to our breath, and that is to move our energy and our consciousness up our throat, shooting out the top of our head to a location approximately 3 feet above the top of your head. And we've already unified, so my consciousness, Alexander's, Mark, so on and so forth, everybody that's having good success is going to be right there helping you because we're all in the same space. Okay, so here we go. Exhale all the way. Inhale, no emphasis. Now exhale with the new function. It pushes energy up your throat, through the center of your mind, and blasts it up through the top of your head. Use a visual like when a whale surfaces to breathe, how it goes spout and it spurts the water up. That's the visual you want to use. Good, good, good. Okay, let's do that again. Inhale. Exhale, shoot it up and out just like a whale doing a blow. Out the top of your head, open those channels wide. Okay, now third time. Okay, this time as you get your energy and your presence to 3 feet above your head, we're going to let all of that accumulated energy adhere to gravity and fall back down into us. There you go. Let it fall right through the top of your head, through the center of your mind, down your throat, and it's going to get blocked right here at the collarbone, where the collarbone meets the rib cage. Now I want you to retune to that lower energy, that river of energy that we set in motion from the root up to here, and put, good, you guys are tapped. Okay, so put the sum totality of your focus and your awareness where the collarbone meets the breastplate. Nothing else even exists. This becomes all that exists. Now we're going to assign the breath a new function. On every inhale, we draw energy from 3 feet above and from below the root, and we cause a continuous motion of imploding energy right where the collarbone meets the breastplate. On every exhale, we do no emphasis. Then we inhale and draw energy from above and below, having it cascade and implode from all angles and all sides where the collarbone meets the breastplate. So exhale, no emphasis. Inhale, energy from all sides, from above and from below, imploding into the breastplate. Right where the collarbone meets the breastplate. Now hold what energy you've accumulated there and exhale with no emphasis. Still holding that energy. Now inhale, pulling from all sides and from above and below. Implode, implode, implode. It's like a laser beam being shot from above and one being shot from below, and they're blasting right against each other. Okay, let's do one more really strong in-breath that's pulling the energy from above and below, cascading and imploding right where the collarbone meets the breastplate. Exhale all the way, and I'm not going to talk during this one. We're going to inhale and really set it in motion. Go. Okay. Now everybody disconnect your breath entirely from energy. We've set the streams in motion. Now I'm just going to go neutral and magnetize to the group and transmit to more people that may not be in that double stream flow, and make sure that you get hooked in. As I do this, for the ones that are hooked in, you're going to notice that it's going to get more intense because more people are adding to the singular energy. Just relax and know that it's already been set in motion, so there's already an infinite gravity right in that spot where the collarbone meets the breastplate. Just relax and let it do its thing. The energy might get uncomfortably thick, but I guarantee you it's a force of a greater density than your physical body, so even though it may seem like it could alter it or harm it in some way. It's the very force that supports and sustains you. So just relax and let gravity do its thing. Let's implode deeper. Let's hold it about 30 seconds more so that Alexander can finish his visions. Okay, everybody can snap out of it at your own pace. Alexander Hart told me that you were done, but you need a bit more time.
No. It was an intense one.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was intense is the right word.
That's awesome. Nice.
All right, so feel free in the chat, let us know what you experienced. That's very, we love getting feedback. We greatly appreciate it. So please do give us feedback. And Alexander, go ahead and tell us what you experienced visually.
Visually, it started with I was sitting by myself in kind of like a nature scene, like up on a hill, just in like long grass, and I was watching the sky, and it was rapidly going like a time lapse, like I was watching time just like fly by. And then as we progressed, other people started arriving, and we were all sitting, and as people would arrive, they would be really excited, and then each exhale I would try and calm them down. Like I was there, because I was. And so they would arrive and they'd be really excited, and then we'd calm them down, and then there was more, and I could feel probably 3/4 of the way through, I could feel a lot were just above the high heart, kind of like at the bottom of the throat, and a lot were just below. So I kind of just pulled, and then with each exhale they would relax further. And then it was like near the end, we were all sitting around a fire. I don't know who these people are. I've never seen them. We were sitting around a fire, and it became sort of like a festival, kind of like a happy environment. And then near the very end, everything shrank, including the earth. The earth itself shrank and entered I can't say my chest, but entered our chest. We were all kind of overlapped, and the earth itself entered our chest, and then it was over. And that's what I saw.
Wow. That's intense.
Cool.
Oh, we got some comments from the chat too. Maggie says still vibrating. Grant says he is rocking like the end of a full breathwork session. Cool. Thanks for the feedback, guys. Yeah, I mean, I can interpret that a lot of different ways, but I've seen in the past, like everything coming in is a completion. Like I know because I catch snippets. Like my soul has already transcended levels because I have moments where I just do it, but I do it so fast all the way that I lose consciousness. But after that, I have snippets where I'm the entire Earth having a conversation with itself, almost like a schizophrenic, like, you know, Chinese arguing with Americans and so on and so forth. So I would interpret like what you saw as the meeting, the complete absolute meeting of the upper and lower energy, the loving of both and the harmonization of both would cause any one of us to integrate the entirety of this experience and become a true earth-based consciousness, which means you would know yourself as being the entire planet and move on to the next whatever. So
Yeah,
that's my take on it.
Yeah, that was the feeling actually at the very end, when the Earth entered our chest. It was I didn't see anymore, but the feeling was that we were somewhere else.
Let's see. Charles from the chat says, we saw Alexander's face for a good 2 minutes. I felt a very strong lump of energy in my throat area and could feel the energy coming up from my root, from my crown, feeding this implosion in my throat area. Alexander, did you see a woman with light blonde hair? Did you, Alexander?
I can't say that I did. I wasn't really focused on individuals. It's like I can't control it when it's happening. It's just fed, and I'm like a silent witness.
Huh.
Deborah from the chat said experience 2 like toroidal feels flowing, bottom to chest, top to chest, then complete relaxation and dense stillness. Yeah, that's how I feel the crystallization too. It's like very still. Like you could either say that it's vibrating so fast that it appears to not be vibrating, or that it's not vibrating at all. But either way, the density, the level of energy in that stillness is huge.
Yeah, felt like that to me. That actually, it feels more the stillness, but also I can tell that it's actually the same as dense vibration. It's still super still.
Grant also says, interesting that I remember the collective imagination was on during his meditation earlier, in that I was pondering levitation from meditation and wondering about the advent of the lotus position, i.e. so your legs wouldn't drop down when meditating. Also in that I was lifting my energy upwards, so it's interesting that this meditation included aspects of that. Yeah, definitely all tied together. John says I saw a blue glowing dot briefly.
Yeah, I saw blue as well for a bit.
Lots of people heard bizarre sounds. Like,
yeah, I heard I at the time thought it was like the community of people that were arriving talking, but I actually heard through my headphones. I don't know if it was through a computer or not, but there was people talking for sure.
Huh.
Yeah, and Charles says the energy in the throat areas after all of the channels were activated was very intense. I can still feel a certain tightness in my throat.
Yeah, I do.
And that's you know, there's a lot to that. And Deborah says, in the heavy stillness, that is where love is a choice. But yeah, the tightness in your throat, like it's the human body. E equals MC squared. The human body is extremely dense. The human body is a shitload of energy, is what the human body is. When you connect to the human body, it feels like concrete or cement or crystalline energy. It's thick. And I say, when you connect to the human body, like you might be thinking, well, aren't we always? No. Typically, we're connected electrically to whatever's going on inside the nerve fibers. Very few people are actually connected to the cellular structure of their body. But that's what we do as energy masters. That's what we do in this meditation. And guys, it felt great. And I hope you all had a good experience from that. I'm sure the people you saw, Alexander, was, you know, the different people from the audience joining in, you know, doing
That's what it felt like for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, guys, we got to go ahead and
Hey, yeah.
close this one out, but we'll definitely have Alexander back on.
Yeah, thanks, Alexander.
Awesome. Thank
Fun
you.
stuff. Mark, thanks for
Awesome.
calling in. Biggie,
Yeah,
thanks for doing what you do in the background. Alexander, I'll give you a shout out probably tomorrow. We can talk about everything, but deep appreciation for you coming on the show. I'm sure the audience, that we're getting, everybody loved it. So
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
I'll get to meet
thanks,
you
everybody. Namaste. God bless. Much love to everybody. And you guys have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.
If you really had to make a difference on a large scale with minimal resources, how would you go about it? Have you ever dared to dream of doing that which seems impossible? On a planet steeped with corruption and destruction, the question beckons, how do we change it? Media has a far-reaching impact on people and has been used to manipulate humanity into our current destructive patterns. In order to affect people into moving into constructive patterns of behavior, we need to construct a new paradigm of media. Conscious Consumer Network has been created with the explicit intention of giving the amazing truth-seeking, solutions-orientated, alternative media a place to fully realize their true potential, with a cutting-edge, high-tech professional media platform being made available to use at no cost to the broadcaster. In turn, some of the greatest freedom-seeking hearts and souls of our time have realized the true potential of what has been created and have come together to provide their insight and inspiration on CCN. Conscious Consumer Network has become a unique, interactive information and educational network which provides a free-to-view, live-stream, ultra-high-definition channel to the world and features 25 live shows a week and growing with the addition of multiple language broadcasts. CCN has features comparable with mainstream media, such as being able to pause and rewind broadcasts whilst being live streamed. Catch up on missed or previous broadcasts, now available from CCN High Definition downloads. You can now purchase a high definition download of your favorite CCN show from ethymarket.com. Support free and independent media by becoming a monthly pledger. This can be done with a monthly pledge of €10, which will allow you unlimited access to CCN's high-definition downloads, which hosts a back catalogue of over 250 shows which have been aired since the launch of CCN on the 1st of January 2015. In order to keep CCN free of corporate sponsorship and advertising, CCN has launched the Pledge 300 campaign. This is a realistic goal with the hopes of securing a minimum of 300 people who will each pledge €10 a month. With this number, we can continue to grow and operate and potentially expand into a second foreign language channel. Without it, CCN will simply not be able to function without succumbing to corporate sponsorship and advertising. Help keep alternative media in the hands of the people. We thank you for supporting free and independent media.